I've quit my job. Melissa is planning her escape. We are about over it. But we still have to do stuff we don't want to do. And one of those things includes going and having coffee with Miss America.
Faith can feel like hearts and butterflies until someone lights a match and burns it all to the ground. Welcome to the Burning Butterflies podcast.
The sad thing is that there's abuse of every kind within the church. But the spiritual abuse is the stuff that just
Well, it's a place there shouldn't be abuse. Like, there just shouldn't be abuse in a place that claims Jesus.
Well, it ruins your soul. If you're new here, we suggest listening to our prologue episode first.
This is the story of two women's journey through toxic church culture and spiritual abuse, all while finding healing in the end.
Sometimes it's just the facts, and if you get offended by it, that's a you issue. And if we can't be mature enough to have these conversations, even if some of the topics are difficult, then shame on us.
For you, do you remember how that came up? Like,
Yeah.
because you and I did not know that each other had to go.
Yeah, we didn't know until we timelined this podcast. And I was like, well, when I went. And you're like, no, when I went. And I was like, oh, we both went.
So, like, why did you have to go? I know why I had to go.
So I had quit my job and she had taken over everything. And she had cried to Tom, remember, in the office.
Yeah.
And she she was like, I can do this, but like, I don't like how people, I don't like when you talk so gruffly. And like, she talked to Tom like she was a little kid. And like, I mean, we've talked about how like Tom would yell at us like it was like you were getting yelled at by dad. But all of us like acted like adult children, or even sometimes like defiant teenage children, not like, oh, but you were so rough, spoke so gruffly to me. I don't know. She had her like fundy voice. It was really weird. And so I kind of like exited that because he starts like chewing her ass about like, well, you're going to need to grow some thick skin. And, if you're going to do this job, I need to trust you, and I need to just be able to be myself and not worry about hurting anyone's feelings. And I never had to worry about hurting Amanda's feelings. And in my head, I'm going like, well, no shit.
No, you just didn't worry about her.
Didn't care about me at all. Like, but whatever.
No, but you should have.
Yeah, like that's kind of why I'm quitting.
All people have feelings, sir.
But
whether you see them or
and
not.
he even said, like, Brandy and Amanda never cry when I yell at them. Like, and I was like, that's not.
Thanks for fully admitting that you yell at us and you somehow justified it's okay, but that's not okay.
And like, no, that like our trauma response probably wasn't the most healthy. So I just kind of like left that meeting quietly and let him hash that out with her. And I even like made joke comments to like Brandy, and I was like, he's gonna eat her alive. Like, she's not gonna last a month. She's gonna cry and quit and not understand what she's doing. Like, she has no idea. Like, I half felt sorry for her. And
well, especially if she was so like, I don't know, sensitive about it,
And so she called me and asked me to go to coffee.
Oh.
And so I
Okay.
assumed it was like she wanted to talk about church, because I kind of left it like, here's my binders, here's all my stuff. Let me know if you have any questions.
Right. Like you've made it apparent that you're an expert in all of this and you don't even
Yeah,
want my help,
like,
so what
yeah.
I'm offering.
So
Okay. So then she calls
she
you,
wants to
wants
go
to
to
go to
coffee. So I
coffee.
was like, okay, she's drowning. She wants help. We're going to talk church stuff, right? So I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
let's meet at this coffee shop. And she's like, well, actually, I don't drink coffee. So I was wondering if you wanted to come to my house.
Then why did you invite me to coffee?
Yeah, exactly. Why didn't you just say, I would like for you to come to my house? Like, why did you invite me to coffee? That's so weird. Like, that was weird. I really, I didn't want to go to her house. Like, it weirded me out
Right.
so much. And at this point, I've already like yelled at her husband. And
Right.
so I just had like an uneasy feeling. And so I tried
Yeah.
really hard to like, well, we can meet at the church, and, or we could, we can meet at the coffee shop, and you could, we don't have to order coffee. They have other stuff, like,
Yeah.
and she's like, oh no, like, I would love to host you. And I was like, okay. And so like the day came and I told Brandy, I was like, this freaking like granola homeschool fundamental Christian, she's going to poison me with dandelion tea and bury me with smelling salts underneath her floorboards of her house. Like,
You feel like
I seriously, like, I was nervous enough. I told Brandy, I said, if I don't call you in 2 hours, like, I need you to like call me and come up with an excuse. And if I don't answer my phone,
yeah.
you need to come like look for me. Like, I had
Yeah.
like the most uneasy, like creepy, like, this is not normal. So
Yeah.
how
At the
did it
time, did you feel like this was all her idea, or do you feel
at the
like
time? No.
Charlotte had put
At
her
the
up to it at
time when
all?
she called me, I felt like she was genuinely reaching out. And so
Okay.
in my mind, I'm like, okay. And I remember back to like, remember when like Charlotte ambushed me at the coffee shop and all of those things. I was like, okay, maybe she's like really truly upset. Like, she cried with Tom. Like,
Right.
maybe she's embarrassed and doesn't want to cry like in public. But I still had this
Right.
weird,
But it's
like, I don't know, just like in my gut, I'm like, something's not right.
right. Well, and it is weird that, like, I just want to point out, like, like something that like our listener might like would need to understand, like the type of people that they are, the fact that it's like it's common practice to go get coffee. So like her social skills level is just like, this is what people do. They say, let's go
Yeah.
get coffee. Right. So it's very Stedford of like, we're going to go get coffee now. And you're like, okay, let's go to this coffee shop. No, I don't drink coffee. Well, then why'd you invite me to
Yeah.
coffee?
And I'm like, they have
You know?
tea, they have water, they have, like.
Right. Okay. Well, and how long after like that meeting that she was crying with Tom was this? Was this like within a
No,
week or
it was
2
a while,
weeks?
because like Clay had been in and out of the hospital at that point. So I mean, it was,
Okay.
I don't know, probably like,
So she had been
yeah,
doing
she had been
like her
doing it
job
for,
that she
I
took
would
over
say,
from
probably
you for
6 to
a
8 weeks.
while. Okay.
Yeah.
And then now all of a sudden she's like, hey,
So
we should
long
be
enough,
together.
you've gone through a
Okay.
full like sermon series cycle on your own. You've
Yeah.
done all the things on your own. You've experienced the chaos of Tom all on
Right.
your own. And now you're drowning, is what
Okay.
I thought was happening.
Determined. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. So anyway, you go to her house.
Well, before we do that, I want to know how did your meeting come about?
Okay, so mine happened after
Okay.
yours. So that puts it in perspective of where we are in the timeline. Like, I want to say a good solid 2 weeks or so after you had gone to her house. And Charlotte made me do it. Like, I had to, because Brandy, Miss America, and I were not getting along at all. And everything was coming unraveled, and there was, fighting amongst the
Yeah, you guys
children.
had already had
So,
your meeting at that point. And
yeah. So after our meeting, and we decided not to do that women's ministry thing, Miss America needs to get involved in women's ministry,
yeah,
right? That's what
because
comes
it
out of that.
became
Because
apparent she had no idea what the hell was going on.
she has no clue what's going on. She wants to lead this thing, but she's like, well, what are you leading? And I just remember, I know we talked about this in that episode, but I kept just saying, what is it that you're wanting to lead? Like, you want to stand up there and tell me how to be a member at this church that I've been a member of for 9 years at this, 8 years at this point? Like, I don't understand what every woman on this list has been here for 2+ years. What are you going to teach them? Like, if you needed a meeting like that, then we should have done that. But right now, there's nobody new walking in the door that we're having this meeting for. The women you want to invite to lead have been leading for 10
Everyone
plus
on
years.
that list, you could go, over to our Patreon and you could look at how long that list was.
Yeah. There was nobody who had been there shorter than her. She
all
was
of those
the
women,
newest
if she
person.
gets up and she's like, this is how you lead, all those women are going to be like, what the hell? We've been doing this.
Yeah. So we didn't do that meeting, right? But then she has to be in charge of something and do something. And so we have our women's breakfast that we do, right? And so she's now going to be in charge of, like, media of that and
I
putting it on
forgot
Facebook.
about that. Yeah, because she's me now.
Yeah, she's you now. And so she's going to do that. Well, the problem is that she wants to show up and then has no idea what she's doing. So we did these every other week. We had to have done 2 a month because there were a lot of them before I went to her. There were a couple of them.
We were to the point where we were doing them twice a month.
Yeah. So we had, I mean, we're probably a good few months that we've been doing these. I want to say there's been like 4 or 6 of them. So it had to have been like, because that meeting was like it was like at the end of the year. And at this point, when did you quit?
I mean, at this stage in the game, we're in like the end of March.
Okay. So we've been doing these now for a few months, 2 times a month. She wants to stream it on Facebook Live, but doesn't know how to do it, doesn't have equipment to do it. So I, as a sound person, okay, have to be there to find all of this equipment and get it set up so that we can stream a person using a microphone into somebody's phone or something, a device that's going to have Facebook on it, right?
You don't know how to Facebook Live, but she wanted to be me, and she assured me she had done all of this for years. She had been doing this for years.
Yeah. And so I feel like she knew how to go on Facebook and make it go to where you go live, but in a room that is a gym. Okay. The acoustics in there are awful. She didn't want to sit there and hold the phone. She was going to hold her phone. And so, no, not even that. Okay. This is how far she got in her thinking. She was going to bring her phone, start the Facebook Live, and be like, hi, this is Miss America here at your Saturday morning women's breakfast. And I'm here's Suzanne. Say hi, Suzanne. We love you. Oh, look, here's somebody we've never met. What's your name? Dolly. Hi, Dolly. Like, And what are you wearing today? Okay, like she wanted to be the lady on the red
Yeah.
carpet, okay? And then, so the first couple times, like the very first one, then it was like, well, how are we going to do the speaker? I don't know what you have in
Because she's
mind.
never been to a women's breakfast. So she has no idea how it's set
Yeah.
up, how it's ran. She doesn't realize it's
Right.
a
Or
woman
that
standing
like
in the middle of a gym.
woman in the middle of a gym talking to women sitting around tables, which is that's fine, but you didn't even bring a tripod for your phone to Facebook Live the speaker. So it completely caught off guard, like has no clue, and then is like, well, I can't just hold it the whole time. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess we could figure something out for next time. Right? So over the course of all these times, the person who's now doing the Facebook Live is me.
Mm-hmm.
After she does her red carpet walk with people. So then I had to find, and I guess I didn't have to, I chose to, because I have this, because I have the things, right? And I know where all the sound stuff is. I did sound for the church for a long time, whatever, right? So I have to show up. I have to set up the tripods. I have to set up the wires. I have to get it connected because then it's a problem when we can't hear. Well, no, duh.
Yeah.
Hello? Because you've got a woman speaking into a microphone in a gym and you're trying to record on a phone. Well, can't we direct? I don't know. Can you? Oh, you don't know how to do that? I suppose I can help you with that too, right? So trying to figure out it. Now I have to be a full sound setup because I'm already setting up sound just to make the microphone work, right? In the gym. Like that's already my department. So she wants to be a leader. She wants to be in charge. She doesn't show up. She doesn't help set anything up. She doesn't stay in cleanup. She doesn't do anything but wants to show up with her Facebook Live and do the red carpet walk, and that's it. So not even be the one to like
Well,
record it. Like it's bizarre. And it's like, no, we didn't even end up using her phone because she couldn't figure out how to log in the church's Facebook page to do the live from. Like she wanted to do it from
yeah,
her.
she wanted it to say Miss America is live at Come As You Are. And we're like, no.
Yes, Miss America is live.
Come
No, it
As
has to
You Are.
be Come As You Are
Yeah.
is live.
Well,
Yeah.
and I just want all of our listeners to understand, like, imagine you're going to a women's breakfast. This is very low key. Women show up in sweatpants, no makeup. Like, very few women actually like get dressed and put on makeup and get themselves completely ready for this thing. And you walk in and Miss America is there, full hair and makeup, full flashed out outfit, sticking a phone in your face,
Put your phone in your face,
wanting you
recording
to talk to people. Like, very few people are like going to be comfortable with that. Most women were just like froze and then they do like an awkward wave. And then because I didn't go to these, but I watched this online because like this was like watching like reality TV for me. Like this was like watching trashy reality TV. So think like, like Real Housewives of Come As You Are is like what it was to me.
Yeah, I would roll out of bed, and stumble over to the church, right, for some coffee. Like, throw my hair up in a messy bun, whatever, right? Like, yeah, nobody was getting up early on a Saturday to get dolled up to be on Facebook Live, except for the speaker, right? Yeah. So anyway, basically, this is what was going on. Brandy, of course, you could imagine, is frustrated.
Oh no, she would text me live, like, "Oh my god, she doesn't even know."
Right. No, and she wants to be a leader. I'm a leader, but you're not setting anything up. You're not staying in clean. You are showing up and doing your little media spotlight, and that's it. Like, that's not leading.
Yeah.
And so it was, so anyway, so you can imagine now we're a few months into this frustration building, and Charlotte's great idea is that we all need to get along and play nice. And if we spent some time together getting to know each other, we might become really good friends. So I have to go over to her house by order of Charlotte. I don't think Brandy had to go.
No, Brandy didn't have to go to your house.
No, but I did. You did. and that's what makes me think that maybe it was Charlotte's idea to have you go.
Okay. Hindsight, 100% Charlotte told this woman, you have to invite her to your house. 100%.
Yeah.
It was, these girls do everything. You have to get to know these girls. Right? Talking about me, you, and Brandy. Yeah. I think because I had very loudly and openly to the leadership of the church made it clear I was not happy. Now, did the masses see that on my face? No. I faked it. But the leadership of the church knew I was not happy.
Right.
And as close as me and Brandy were, I think Charlotte was worried that if she pushed Brandy too far also, we would both leave the church.
Yeah.
And so I think she picked and chose what she did when she did it. And so I think she had Miss America invite me to her house.
But then I think that's really funny that, like, even if she was like, you have to get along with these girls, right? So out of the three of us, she chose, if Miss America was given a open, like, nudge of, like, you're going to have to do something to get along with these girls, she felt most comfortable inviting you first. Well,
because I had drank the most Kool-Aid. In my head, I'm thinking bitchy things. I'm not saying them out loud. I am still 100% speaking Christianese, doing all the good Christian girl things. So even though I'm probably the most bitchy on the inside, like she
at least intimidating on the outside.
And I think it was like opposite. Brandy gave off this like intimidating facade, but like on the inside, she actually cared about a lot more shit than I did.
I just thought that was funny. That's all. Anyway, all right. So for whatever reason, she wants you to go to coffee, aka come over to her house.
Yeah, I have to go to her house.
Yeah.
They have talked about how they live on this farm. They live on this ranch, right? They like, I was a city girl and I married this farm boy and now I have to live this ranch life. Okay. Right. I'm from Wyoming, the cowboy state, right?
Yes.
Ranches, 4-H, like, America, right? Like, that's
America.
That's how I grew up.
Yes.
I go to her house that is technically in the country because it is not within the city limits of a town.
Yeah. It's in between a couple
towns.
But it's totally incorporated, right?
Her neighbors are almost as close as my neighbors are. As I'm living in town. It is a bunch of houses side by side by side off of a paved highway.
Yep.
And I'm like,
they're long and narrow lots. Like horse properties, not ranches, properties, right? Small farms.
Small
I don't
farms.
know what you would call that.
Like we're talking less than 5 acres.
Yeah.
And she makes it, they have this ranch and they have this big tractor and they have a horse and all these chickens and she does all this ranch stuff. Girl, if I drive to your house and I am on pavement the whole way, and like this, I fully own that this sounds bitchy of me. But I don't even care. This is
Okay.
my judgment of her. As a
At this moment,
country girl,
yeah.
you invite
Yes.
me to come to your ranch, and I drive on pavement the whole way, and I pull into your paved driveway, and your barn is essentially just an outbuilding, and you have like you don't have corrals, you don't have like you don't live on a ranch, honey. Oh, okay, this is all you have.
I was like, oh, okay, I
But
see. And then because I kept asking about it, I'm like, so does it go way back?
yeah, no,
I'm like, because she made it sound like I had to walk 40 miles uphill both ways to go get eggs this morning. And I was like, so does it keep
yeah,
going?
no,
Like,
because they didn't even live on a full thing. They lived on a parcel because
Full
the
parcel.
whole
yeah,
pasture behind their house, she would take
Yeah.
pictures and post it online. Like they had this huge pasture, and it would be like her husband riding the horse in the pasture and the boys on the tractor in the pasture. So I pull up and I'm like, oh, okay, like, so that's at least like, okay, like you have this big pasture. She's like, well, like that house up on the hill was his dad's.
yeah,
And so I'm like, oh, she's like, so the pasture's all his, and then like this is just like the end of his property. And I was like, this is more like, oh, you're living in the ranch hand house.
yeah. No, well,
You're
okay,
living in the
ranch
hired
hand or
man
whatever.
house. And
Yeah.
he has the house up on the hill on the opposite side of the pasture. Okay.
Right. It's a huge piece of property, and you live in the one end.
And so really,
I lived on 40 acres once.
Yeah. And so really all they had was this little like couple acres.
Right, which is not a problem.
No, but
if you were honest about it.
But when you post pictures and you make it seem like you are living in this on this huge property, and she's posting things like, I'm an accidental farm girl, like I've never done this before, like all of this stuff. And so she is trying to like find like this common ground with me because of it. And I'm like, she's like, oh.
Yeah, and when it's your excuse to be like, well, I have all this stuff going on, I can't do all this, you know, like these were her excuses.
And she's like, well, I'm sure like you've had chickens. And I was like, no. And she's like, how do you live on how did you grow up on a farm and you didn't have chickens? And I was like, because chickens are freaking gross. Like, no, we didn't have chickens.
We had bigger animals.
We raised cattle. Like, chickens are gross. No, thank you. Like, and she's like, oh. And, you know, like, and then the horse, and yeah. Oh, so like you had your horse, and I was like, well, no, because, and I mean, her horse is in this little corral. And again, this is the bitchy side of me. I'm like, well, like, no, all of the horses are out at my grandparents' house, you know, where they have room to run because they are horses and they need to have room to run.
I know legally they'll tell you they only need a half acre.
Yeah, to like healthy animal care. You know, you give them space. And she's like, oh. And then she was talking about how like they were gonna get some cows to raise and butcher for their own meat, but it's just so hard. It's hard enough to raise the chickens and butcher the chickens for meat, and she just didn't think that they could do that with the cows. And I was like, okay. Then like, okay. And so I was very unimpressed by everything she was telling me, and I think she was like trying to be like, oh yeah, wasn't it hard, like, you know? And I was like, nope, like we bottle fed calves and then we butchered them, and every time my mom would make hamburger, we had one that we named Tud Butt because it was so fat. And every time my mom would make something with hamburger in it, we'd be like, are we eating Tud Butt? And she'd be like, yeah. And we're like, he's good. He tastes so good. Like, You know, we had one we named Todd,
Right.
like, you know, and so
Right. Because I grew
I
up
grew up
on a
legitimately doing this, not just playing
yeah.
farm, you know, and so
Right.
very quickly she realized, like, okay, having you out, I think that might have been why I had to come to her house, was like to see her farm.
Yeah.
And when she realized, like, I
Yeah.
was like unimpressed, then it was like,
Yeah.
well, shit, now what? You know? But
So what did you guys do while you were
I
there?
thought we were talking about church stuff. So I come with like, I have like a notebook, I have stuff ready to like help her, you know, like, no. She sits there and for like an hour, I hear her entire life story that she's already told me when we sat to make grandma's funeral slideshow with some additional information. And then she's like sharing how like they remodeled this house and they were going to like flip it and sell it, but then her husband fell in love with it and now she's stuck living here. And I was like, okay. But like as I'm sitting here looking around, I'm like, oh, so like you guys were going to sell it recently. And she's like, oh no, this was like back in like 2013. And so, I mean, at this point, we're like, what, 7, 8 years past this? It was like, if our listeners remember way, way back when we did the episode about the flood that came through, like that is when they were in the middle of flipping this house.
Right.
Because she was worried that the flood flooded the house and it didn't. And so as they were flipping it. And so I'm like, oh. And so as I'm looking around, I'm like, this house looks like it's staged to be sold. Like there's minimal furniture.
Yeah.
There's like 2 pictures on the wall and it's like canvas prints of her kids, but it's from when they were like little. There's no recent photos. And like it looks like a staged home. It does not look like a home that is lived in. It definitely does not look like a home that is lived in with 5 kids. Even like their classroom, because she like showed me around her house. She's like, oh, I'll give you a tour. And I'm like, okay, like this is weird. Like this is weird.
Yeah.
And so I'm like walking through her house and really all she showed me was the living room, the dining room, the kitchen, and the classroom room.
Yeah.
And even the classroom room looked staged. And then the kids come in, but the kids are outside playing in the barn. So the kids come in and she's like, you have to go outside. You have to be outside. I have a guest over, so you have to be out. And I was like, I don't care. Like, I have kids. I'm used to having meetings and kids and it's fine, whatever. And she's like, no, they have to be outside. I'm like, again, not helping with the creepy vibes. There are no witnesses and there's, minimal furniture, easy cleanup. I'm thinking like Dexter Morgan style. This is creepy. And so she does offer me dandelion tea and I'm like, oh no, I'm good. And because I was like, I am not eating or drinking anything this woman, because like worst case scenario, she poisons me. Best case scenario, this woman hates me. She's going to spit in something. Like, like this woman does not like me. And so I had brought like my own coffee cup and I was like, oh, well, you invited me to coffee. So I brought my own coffee. You said you don't drink coffee. And she's like, oh, so you brought coffee. And almost seemed like put off that I brought coffee into her house and like didn't know what, like, oh, well, I guess I can get you a coaster to like set it on her coffee table. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's great. Like it's a travel mug, so it's not, like I don't have like a coffee cup. I'm not going to spill. Like, but okay, whatever. That's fine. And so then, like, we sit down and I pull out my notebook and I was like, so, like, what questions? Oh, well, I don't have any questions. I just thought we could get to know each other. And then she's like, so Charlotte tells me you've been at the church for a while. Very Stepford, like you said, because normal people would be like, so, like, how did you come as you are? Like, how, what's your God story? Like, even in like the Christianese stuff, like, it was still a little bit like less Stepford than like, well, Charlotte has told me Justin went to Come As You Are as a teenager, and that's how you came to Come As You Are. So, like, everything I would say, she'd be like, oh, yeah, Charlotte told me. And I'm like, then why? Like, why
Then
do you
are we
want to
here?
get to know me? Like, Charlotte apparently has already told you everything. Like, I don't understand. So after 2 hours, Brandy texts me and she's like, are you alive? And I'm like, yes, but I
Yes, but
need
my
to leave.
mental health is
So
suffering.
I was like, well, like, so you don't have any questions about like the church stuff or anything like that? She's like, oh, no questions. I'm so thankful we could come and like just get to know each other. And like, I really think like we should do this again. This was so much fun. I'm like, girl, like, you would have really benefited from mom's group, like, if we were still doing that. Like, I felt really bad for you. And so I left and I was like, that was weird. It was a very creepy. And so I kind of was like, well, like, I have stuff to do, because that was always her excuse. Like, I have kids, I have this farm, I have all this stuff I have to do. And so I was like, I gotta go. I got kids, that I gotta go pick up. And she's like, oh, yeah, of course. So as I'm driving back to town, I called Brandy and I was like, it was weird. Like, half of it felt set up because of everything I said. She'd be like, oh, yeah, Charlotte told me. But then the other half, I was like, is this woman just so desperate for friends? Like, it was hard to read. I couldn't understand.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Yeah. So what was your experience?
So I go over there. I took my daughter because, the kids are all like the same age or whatever, right? Relatively close in age. So I took my daughter with me. I think just one of them, which would be weird. Did I take both of them? I think I took both of them, the two youngest, right? So we go there in the morning and same thing. Like, I drove up and I was like, oh, okay, because I couldn't, trying to figure out where she lived based on like the way that she talked about it, right? And I'm not really on social media, so I had never seen like any pictures or anything.
But she even talked about like, oh, you got to drive clear out on this road. Like,
yeah, like the way she talked about it and then giving directions. And in my mind, like, I'm trying to figure out, because I'm pretty good with directions, and you could be like, no, it's over this way. And I could picture that road and I know the house is on it. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like totally prepared for this long drive. And I put it in the GPS and I'm like, that's not going to take that long, right?
Your destination is 7 minutes away.
Yeah. And so I'm like, this is really weird. And I keep trying to picture like what she has said versus where I'm going. And then, yeah, it is weird because you're like highway to highway. And then you're like, okay, there's like land.
Yeah. She essentially lives like, there's a bunch of houses next to each other. And so like the end of this big property, it was like the very edge of it got sold off as like little like ranchettes. So it's like a mini subdivision strip randomly on the side of this highway.
Yeah. And it really is just like 3 or 4 houses, right? Because like you have like if you go like to the corner,
Mhm.
like the highway to the highway, the intersection, right? It's open. There's like a
Yeah.
bigger property there, but they have open land. And then and it's funny because I just drove that way. I just drove down the street the other day going actually just last night. I just drove down the street last night. Because we were headed to the pumpkin patch. So right? And then there's just like 3 or 4 houses, just boom, boom, boom. And then like you have fields, right? And so the what I'm looking at my GPS, which is telling me, just take a turn and take a turn. And I'm going like, yeah, but to get to where she has to be, like, I don't even know how you get back that way. Like I'm thinking I'm going to drive in like a little gate, like on the side of the road, have to drive through a pasture to get to their house
Yeah.
or whatever. And so then I pull in, yeah, and it's like this little house. And I'm like, okay, so we go up and like I don't have any preliminary like I am so open-minded. I'm like, "Oh, fine. I will give this a shot." I am convinced that I have not given her enough time or due diligence. It's all my fault. I just assumed and I've jumped on a bandwagon. And so I am going to go and try to open-mindedly
So I
get
have
to
a
know this
question. When
person.
Charlotte sent you, did she say anything? Because like I know Charlotte knew at that point that Brandy and I did not like her. So did she say anything like,
Oh yeah.
now Brandy and Amanda don't like her, but
No. You, me, and Brandy. There was no you and Brandy and me. It was the 3 of us.
you girls.
We were you girls. You girls have to play nice. And you have have you gone out? Have you had coffee with her? Have you done this? Have you gotten to know her? You want to tell me all these things about her. You girls you girls are just gossiping and making stuff up, but you haven't even given it a fair
We're
chance,
making
right? So I am convinced that I have been wrong because I didn't invite her to coffee. I didn't even get to know her. I didn't make any attempt to be her friend. And I have all well and I even told Charlotte. I was like, "No, because I'm really good with people. And I've seen enough that I don't want to."
Yeah.
Like there's nothing about this person that would have made me want to go and be her friend or invite her to coffee. And I feel like that in the very beginning when she was doing like going to the Philippines and doing the sign language thing, and I
Yeah.
had done sign language like right? I had
Yeah.
a thing with sign language. She had a thing with sign language. We had a mutual friend who did sign language with me and was going to go to the Philippines with them. And you would have thought it would have just miraculously worked itself out. But there were enough things that I was like, I don't want to pursue a relationship with this woman. Like there was nothing that made me want to go and be
I
friends
find
with her.
it so funny that Charlotte
whatever.
was like, you guys are making stuff up when like all we were doing was like, they're making shit up. Like they're changing
No,
their
I know,
story.
right?
Like all we're doing is telling the truth. Like
Yeah. Well, why don't you like her? Have you given her a chance? No,
no.
because I did give her a
And every
chance,
time you talk
right?
to her
And
story
it's
changes. So no, I don't
creepy.
want to be friends with someone like that.
Yeah.
So before you
Yeah,
finish your
so
story, over on our Patreon,
yeah.
we are gonna have more of this conversation of like this like why do we have to manipulate and hide the truth in church settings and specifically at Come As You Are, and like why do we feel the need to defend people when like they've proven they're not truthful, they're proven that they're people who are going to manipulate or cover up or whatever. Why do we feel this need
Well,
to do this? So
and I feel like the bigger question is why just because it's a church setting do we feel like we have to defend people who in other settings and circumstances would not be
exactly,
defended,
exactly.
right? And we cover up for people who are doing wrong and bad things just because they have a title and it's a
Yeah.
church, right? Like,
No.
interesting to me.
Yes. So head over to Patreon. That episode's already up. But yes, so you get there.
Well, I get there and I walk in, and of course, I was raised right. If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. But I walked into a cold, dead house. Yeah. Right? Like there was no life in that house. So like you had said, it was like staged. Right? But I mean it was lifeless. It was weirdly really weird. Like the feeling, like it was sterile. Sterile and staged, and what's really funny is that like back in the day I had gone to pick up an acquaintance from her apartment, and she invited us in because she wasn't quite ready to go. We were a bunch of girls, we were all going out somewhere, and I'd never been to her house, and I only knew her through like going country line dancing, right? So I go over to her house, and like we couldn't sit down on the furniture. The magazines had to stay. She was like, just don't touch anything, because my mom is really OCD. And so like everything had to be literally staged in that house. Like admittedly, like she was like, you can come in, but you can't sit down. I'll be right out. Right. Like there was like, it was weird because if my mom gets home and anything is moved out of its place, she'll flip out. There was more love and warmth in that house than there was. Like, and you're right. It was weird. Like it was minimalist, to say the least. Like there was no evidence or signs of like children, other than like very typical, some things in frames on shelves, but like the minimum, very staged. So I walked in and I was like, oh. So of course I find something nice to say, like I like the color you painted the doors, because that's actually the color I'm painting my doors. I love it, great choice, whatever. And then we talked for 6 hours.
Oh my God. About what?
Just, life. But it was weird because everything was like me too. Like it was odd. And so I did see a side of her that I hadn't seen. So I don't know what prompting she had of like, you're going to have to be vulnerable and you're going to have to be authentic and you're going to have to share. If you invite Melissa over, like, just so you know, it's can't be.
Well, no,
I don't
that's
know.
really funny.
I don't know.
Because Charlotte did ask me about, oh, I heard you went to Miss America's house. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, did you guys, talk or whatever? And I was like, yeah, I mean, it was fine. Like, it was all stuff I had already heard. So I wonder if Charlotte, like, front-loaded her, like, oh, these girls, like,
yeah.
Our whole thing was, like, they are not authentic. They are not honest. They are not authentic. Right. So I'm sure she was like, you're going to have to, like, really be authentic with Melissa if you want.
Yeah. So I got to hear all about her early life, right? And the trauma and, misfortunes of that, which, okay, you know what? And me too, right? So like we spent some time swapping like early childhood trauma stories, right? And then she talked about, being in a relationship with a man whose family was Mormon, and how they were going to get married, and like she was like, because she had issues with her family, whatever, right? She's got family issues. Not my place to tell her story, but anyway,
she had like moved in with like the guy's family.
Yeah, with the guy's family, right? And then ended up on a college campus with some crazy lady sharing the gospel with her and mentoring her. And then somehow ended up married to Barry. Um, after that,
And that's like
like
the weird
because then
part.
she couldn't be Mormon because she got saved. I
Well,
don't
and that's
know.
like the weird stuff
And then somehow she married
because like
Barry.
all the stories she told me was like Barry saved her. Barry saved
Yeah.
her. She prayed with Barry. Barry had
Yeah.
saved her. And so, like, the first time you told me the story, and you're like, oh no, like, she had this mentor. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, she was on some college campus sitting on a picnic table, and some Jesus freak lady like shared the gospel with her, and for the first time in her life it made sense. And then this lady mentored her to be a believer, and then she left her Mormon boyfriend, and
Yeah.
then
And like, the story I got
I
was
don't even
like,
remember how she
I met Barry in college, and, he was so
yeah.
different than any of these other boys. And, things were going bad. And I had just broken up with my Mormon boyfriend. And, I was kind of lost.
Yeah.
And Barry shared the gospel with me.
Yeah. And then what I thought was really, so then, we talked about like, so I am totally like into hippy dippy, right? Like, I know that I love food. I'm a foodie, right? But I have been on, like holistic, natural, like unprocessed, like whatever. I could be into essential oils, mystical stuff, whatever, right? I tend to dabble in that. I know you wouldn't know that looking at me, but I have a strange hippy dippy side. Ask my children, right? And so, like, I've made my own laundry detergent. Like, I've done things. I dabble in these things. And sometimes in just cycles, just because I don't know, maybe it's an ADHD thing where I'm like, today we're making our own laundry detergent for the next 6 months. That's all I'm gonna do, right? I don't know. So I do tend though to lean more towards a more natural lifestyle of things, right? Very simple, very hippie, not this weird, I don't know. I guess you would probably say I'm more
Yeah.
new age,
You're
hippie tippy than the
yeah,
granola hippie.
you're not crunchy. You're you're more like naturalistic, like
Yeah. So they are very like, so there's like, you would think we would get along, right? But I say all that because, like, for me, it's more of like, I should have been raised by a commune of hippies in a tent. Okay. Like, no joke. Like, okay. Like, when I say that, that's what I mean. Like, I am not fundamentally granola. I am we flower child in a
yeah.
tent in the mountains somewhere in Colorado is how I should have been raised, and I was not. But I have that within my inner soul. So on some level, though, you think we would connect on things. But so we talk about that for a while. And she did, prepare us some food, which was chicken and some spaghetti squash that was really, I mean, my kids loved it. I don't eat squash, but I did have some chicken meat. But they do eat, and I'm not judging them in any way, shape, or form, but like they do eat definitely like
it's
a
almost,
little
it's like
strange.
beyond
I don't
clean
know.
eating, like, because like when
Yeah,
when
well,
we
because
did like the 40 days of community and they were in our group, we had like a
yeah,
potluck, and we had to like not season some of the meat.
yeah. So they eat like, and this is totally fine. So they eat based on like their blood workup, right? Of like, you can eat these things, you can't eat these things. And they have a very specific list of like, and they don't necessarily cook all of their food, right? Like, raw is in the rawest form is better, whatever. Okay. I'm not judging them for that in any way, shape, or form. So because of Barry's practice, right? And she did mention the way she said it though was Barry has her on this special diet. So they do a lot of fasting. And so when I was there, she had to eat like her seaweed her dried seaweed to break her fast before she could eat anything else. And then the kids came in and they did get out like containers of, like I said, chicken. And then she had prepared in the morning some spaghetti squash. Like I said, my kids thought that was really good. But it was odd, right? It was very not typical. Okay. So for me, it was odd. And I have hung out with a lot of natural eating people and people who don't
Mm-hmm.
cook, like who eat all foods. I've hung out with vegans. I've hung out with vegetarians. I have hung out with people who eat the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. I knew a lady who stood outside in the morning and ate the sun for breakfast. Okay. And she was not as strange as this whole situation. Um, so that was fine, right? But my whole point is that later on, and we might cover this again because it comes later on in our timeline, but very soon, we were doing some research because our experiences with them were still not
Yeah.
adding up. And so we had ended up online, and I was looking at Barry's practice, if you want to call it that, website. And it was very odd because his business like had a picture of like, here's my family, right? But then also had, look at us, we're sponsoring this woman who's going to this Mrs. America pageant or whatever, right? But it's
Yeah.
his wife. But it wasn't written like, my wife is doing this. It was totally written like,
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
family
Our business
chiropractic
is
center is
sponsoring this
sponsoring
random woman.
this woman, right, who's a client of ours. And I'm like, that's really odd. And then you get to the testimonials, and Miss America has this testimonial on the website that she has all of these diseases because she did tell me at their house, like, she had been in a car accident and Barry had helped her get back to being healthy, right? And being able to be functional and
Mm-hmm.
everything, right? That's all she had mentioned, really, was a car accident at that time. And she did say that he had her on a specific diet because it's what helps her be her
Mm-hmm.
best, right? Like, and like I said, I can respect that. They're totally into that, right? But then reading the website after this, she has like every autoimmune disease that's not curable known to
Yeah.
man. So she's in the picture as, this is my family, like our family chiropractic, right? And here's her with all their kids and him, right? But then she's also the Miss America lady that they're sponsoring. And she's one of the people in there, check out our reviews.
Yeah.
And it's written like Dr. Barry.
Yeah. I found Dr.
Healed me from all of these
incurable things.
And like the list was like the alphabet.
Yes.
So like, I really didn't think anything of it like other than like, okay, because I really am to each their own. Do you know what I mean? So like, I'm not
But
judging
be honest,
you.
my wife had these problems and this is how I helped her. My wife is doing this pageant.
Yeah.
We are sponsoring her. Be honest about it.
Right. Like, it was all
Yeah.
for show. Like, none of it was like, if I was just stumbling on that site and I didn't happen to notice that this was the same woman in all three of these things, okay. But like,
Yeah, it's weird.
the things you've told me for the last however long, year and a half that I've known you doesn't match up with any of this stuff. And then I'm at your house and it's just weird. Like, and it's really not the things that you were doing, right? It's not any of it, right? It's the vibe. It's not real.
Well,
like, none of it felt like a real authentic conversation.
no,
or
it felt like you're
like
in a
any
spy movie and you get taken to like a staged, but it's supposed to look like a house. But it's like a fake house. Like,
the outside and the inside did
Yeah.
not match. Like, you drive up outside and it looks like it does give you that we live out in the country vibe. There's booths, with mud on the front porch, and there's like a barn, and there's a small like horse corral, right? And chickens, right? Like, you have an outdoorsy life, right? It's common here where we're at. People
Yeah.
have these
Like
little, I like how you
yeah.
call them ranchettes. People have these cute little
Yeah.
ranchettes, and you live just off the county road, right? And you do get your couple acres and you get that outdoor life. But then when you walked inside, I was like I was so
Well,
uncomfortable. Like, there was no
it's
warmth,
yeah.
no, like, I'm like, "Are you okay? Blink
Yeah.
twice if you," like, I literally wanted to be like, "Do you need
It's
help?"
funny that you said, like, when you left, you did some research because it was so weird. So when she said, like, "Oh, we put the house on the market," but then Barry
Yeah,
decided after we put it on the market, he was so in love with it, we took it off and we just kept it. So it was like, if you put it on the
yeah,
market, there's pictures somewhere.
fun.
So
Yeah,
I Zillowed it, and like the pictures from 2013, mind you, we're in 2021 at this point, are the
yeah,
same. The same two pictures, a canvas of her kids hanging on the wall, were hanging in the
yeah,
same place. Nothing in that house
yeah,
had changed in 8
yeah,
years.
but I didn't feel like she was crazy. I felt like she
Trapped.
was trapped, and I felt like he was crazy. Like, I literally was like, "Blink twice," if like, I didn't
Yeah.
literally say it to her, but I was like, I left with that, "Do I need to call somebody? Are you guys
Yeah.
okay?" Like, I almost felt like he was
Controlling.
controlling, and that he was like, I was like, "This is not okay." And I don't even know where he was that day, but I was there for 6 hours, and the kids played outside, minus the time they came into the kitchen to eat chicken and spaghetti squash, you know, and, and I'm like, I left there feeling like this poor woman is stuck in something, and like, but also is okay with it
Yeah.
too, right? Because she's got her home gym, and she really works on how she looks, and she's really into how she eats. And, but at the end of the day, though, like, are you just pretending to be happy? Like, are you really happy? Because there's no happiness in
Yeah.
your home. Like, it was
Well,
weird.
and like, I
It was
mean, like
really
I've
weird.
said in previous episodes, like her and her husband despised each other. Like that was
Yeah.
apparent in their home, but it was also apparent like the way they interacted with it, because it was so fake. And it was
Yeah.
so fake. And I want to
And I
remind our
do,
listeners, like, your husband is abusive AF, and you two are faking
yeah.
it in public, and people don't realize. But people were realizing how
Yeah.
fake their relationship was.
And I do feel like for some reason, and I felt like this afterwards, that maybe in a different setting, in a different circumstances, her and I could have been friends, right? And so, yeah, like, who knows? Because I did get along with her a little bit, in the very beginning, until it got really
Yeah.
weird.
And like, I mean, like I said, I
So,
legit tried when we threw grandma a funeral. But after that, I was like,
yeah.
this woman is weird. Like, there is something hokey going
No,
on
yeah.
there. And I don't know. I guess,
That's how it was for me too. Like, it was the same time frame when you first met her, and it seems pleasant enough, and you're like, "Oh, you're cool, like, we're gonna get along." And then all of a sudden you went, no, something's wrong. I had that same experience in the
mhm,
beginning where it was like, "Oh, nice, cool, like, you've got 5 kids, I've got 5 kids, right? Like, you do sign language, I do sign language. You like to be like, you have that same outgoing stage type personality, me too, right?" Like, but then there was all of a sudden a like, "Oops,
yeah,
nope." And I'm sorry, but somebody like me, and somebody like, and I with Brandy too, like, when you come from toxic and trauma, like, toxic and trauma recognizes toxic and
yeah,
trauma, like, and it's like street vibes. Like, that's how I felt about it. I felt like this was total like gangster street where you're just like, nope. Like, I know your type, you from the wrong side of the
yeah,
tracks, right? Like, I don't know. But I don't know, there's just something about sometimes the people who do the sketchiest stuff or have the most trauma or the most like not the people you want to invite to your birthday party kind of people are the ones with the best sixth sense about people. And that's kind of how I felt like there was like a street code. And I remember, I think Brandy and I even had this conversation where we were both like, oh no, we know. You know what I mean? So yeah, there was definitely something up there.
Burning Butterflies is a listener-supported podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by our amazing supporters on Patreon.
Follow the link in our show notes to learn how you can become a Patreon supporter too. Supporters get exclusive access to bonus content each month, including outtakes, cut content, and supporter-only episodes. If you've enjoyed this episode, please leave us a rating on your listening platform.
Burning Butterflies is a production of Asha Media. Thank you for listening.